Good morning. Happy Sunday. Let me just do this piece for Instagram. Welcome to my channel. I'm trying to get Instagram to go up. I don't know, that one's been the hardest, but while I do that, I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, doctorally prepared nurse practitioner and the founder of Mahogany Dermatology, Nursing Education and Research, where we're committed to increasing access to dermatology nursing education with a specific emphasis on skin of color, business acumen, and digital fluency. This is my third time going live with you all in the last few days. I'm back home in the DMV. I first joined the Society of Dermatology PAs, and then I spent the latter half with Black Health Connect. And so we're going to go over that today. I have a few of your questions and then just do kind of a recap of the conferences before I hop on the plane. I said I was going to come back live yesterday, but I ran out of time. And so right now I'm just going to check really quickly. Okay, you can see me there. And I think Instagram, this is my third time trying on Instagram. I think Instagram is, you can see me live. I don't know why it doesn't work over there. I haven't been able to figure that out. But anyway, welcome. We'll jump into this because we'll be boarding soon. And so let's, if you're new here, I usually do have a live video for you every Sunday. I have the Mahogany Dermatology blog where we release articles now every Wednesday. So over 100 articles, free resources to help guide you in your career and your entrepreneurial endeavors. When it comes to dermatology and cosmetics for NPs, we come here live every week. We've been doing that for a year. The blogs and the Melanin Initiative podcast have both been going on for over 2 years now, over 100 episodes over there. And actually, as I'm recording this, we release our new videos for the podcast every Sunday at noon Eastern. So that will be happening soon. And today we'll be bringing back Clarence Sams. He is now a third-year medical student at the Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science, and we've been following his journey for over a year. He's one of our students that we follow in his Becoming a Physician series, just to answer questions and provide that in real-time mentorship that so many people are seeking, so you actually know what it is that you're getting into, what you can expect in real time. And in this particular episode, this is his fourth time on. He's entering his clinical rotations, and a student, Faith, sent in some questions. She wasn't able to join us live, but she sent in her questions, and so we answered them during the episode. I apologize in advance for all the background noise. We'll start off with our devotional and scripture, and then we'll just jump into this so I don't have to run and leave you all before the flight. Okay, so this is our first. We'll start with our devotional. What do you think about when you hear the word pure? Do you picture a tall glass of crystal clear water, a freshly washed load of white sheets, or maybe someone who's morally wholesome and good? In the sixth of the Beatitudes, a series of promises Jesus made about God's kingdom, Jesus said this: "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." The word pure means clean or blameless, free from corruption or contamination, purified by fire or unstained by guilt. None of us can truly be pure on our own, despite our best efforts. Before Jesus showed up, the highest-ranking Levitical priests were charged with ministering and meditating in the holiest spaces, where God's presence dwelled on earth. But even they had to be purified over and over again. Now, because of Jesus' ultimate sacrifice on the cross, he has paved the way for us. His blood covered our sins, and when we accept this sacrifice, he makes us pure. Now and forever, we can come boldly to the throne of our gracious God, where we can find mercy and grace when we need it most. Now, our bodies are the modern-day temples where God's Spirit has chosen to dwell. Being pure of heart is not about being perfect, but trusting in Jesus to purify our souls. As Isaiah once prophesied, "Come now, let's settle this," said the Lord. "Though your sins are like scarlet, I will make them as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, I will make them as white as wool." That comes from Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18. And our prayer: God, I want to have a pure heart. Please reveal to me the areas of my heart that are not in line with your word. Help me to let go of bitterness, disappointment, and hurt I am holding on to. I surrender my whole heart to you. Please change me for the better. In Jesus' name, amen. And safe travels and prayers for everyone departing from the SDPA conference. I believe everyone's heading out today. They haven't already. But Black Health Connect, there's still some events taking place today. So some people are leaving today, some people are leaving tomorrow. I'm going to pull up my questions here. If you're here, actually, let me see if I can see comments. If you're here, put some comments in there so I know I'm not alone. And if you attended either conference, let me know. Let me know which conference you attended and what was your favorite, what was your highlight? Okay, so let's see. So let's start with SDPA. So I can't remember if I already recapped everything over there. I'm running on a little lack of sleep. But this Wednesday, in the upcoming article on the blog, we do I go a little bit more in depth on the conference, particularly on Hill Day. We went to Capitol Hill and we spoke to legislators about 3 initiatives that we want their support on. And so that will come out on the, so I'll say briefly, one was to change language for autoimmune diseases like alopecia areata and vitiligo from being seen as a cosmetic disorder to being seen as an autoimmune disease, which needs different kind of treatment and certainly much more funding support. The second one was the Helps Copay Act, and that was to get support and funding for patients who sometimes will get a coupon to help cover copays for particular medication, particularly when that medication is working, and then eventually that coupon runs out, and then they are left with that out-of-pocket cost. And so we would love to get away with that so that patients can continue having funding for the medications that work for them. Ebony Eyes, it's been so long. So glad that you're here, and thank you for leaving a comment. I would love to know how you're doing. And then lastly, the Physician Reimbursement Act. As you know, reimbursements have been going down, down, down. And so shout out to them for that event. We did get white coats. It had an SDPA logo on it. We had, even before coming into town, we had like a webinar so they could get some prep for us. On that day, we took pictures on the steps of the Capitol. Not my first time doing that. And they gave us all the talking points and even handouts to give to the legislators to make it easy for them to continue to lobby on our behalf. And they're actually, the SDPA, they will be going back to continue to push legislation forward, particularly as it relates to the autoimmune diseases for and changing the language from cosmetic to seeing it as an autoimmune disease. So shout out to them for those efforts. I love policy. I love legislation. You know, you can think policy is a big time thing and you can only come to DC for that. That's not true. All politics is local. Sometimes you can push things much forward and much faster with less red tape in your own town, right? And you can certainly be on boards. I certainly want to see more nurses on boards, but even where you work, so whether you work for a big hospital system, there's policies there. You can work on that. Me and Alicia did that. That helped broaden my eyes to what it meant to really be a nurse and how I can actually influence and help patients. All of you say you want to help patients. There are so many ways you can help patients. And then for Alicia in particular, when I left to grad school, I passed on the baton to her. She took over that role. And because she had played that role, a pivotal role, it put her in a position to be visible, right? And so she knew everyone and everyone knew her. They knew she existed. And so when she was ready, when she got out of her graduate program, she was ready to step into a leadership role. They already had their eye on her. So wonderful opportunities to be in policy, no matter where you are. And we worked at a magnet facility, so sometimes it is a little bit easier, but if you don't ask, you never know. And if you're an entrepreneur and you have your own company, have your own team, don't overlook the opportunity to have policies and procedures in place so that, you know, evidence-based practice is still continued, so that your vision is still carried out, so that patients are still getting the care that you envision they should get every single way, every single time, regardless of who's providing that care, in your absence or even with you there, especially if you start to scale, you want to make sure everyone gets that same experience, just like your McDonald's, right? No matter what McDonald's you go to, clients should have the same experience. And then we talk to legislators, which if you don't know, a lot of times they're very young, right? A lot of times they're in their 20s. And a lot of them go to my alma mater, GW, especially here. And they do a lot of the work. They're the ones talking. They're getting the face-to-face time with constituents like us. And they're the ones that we have to pitch to and tell a compelling story so that it's memorable and it sticks out. And then they take that to the representative, and based on how well you've convinced them, given them some data points, they can then, you know, lobby on your behalf. And so we appreciate them and welcoming us and all the coordination that went into that. And then on Thursday, we had our lectures, and they had an evening event to go to, but I went home. Since I spent all the time at the conference during the day, I wanted to spend the evening with my parents. And so that's what I did. Okay, let's see. So then on Friday, I went over to Black Health Connect. So Black Health Connect is a group of Black healthcare professionals. Anyone is welcome, but that's who it was founded by. The founder is Douglas Charles, who's actually a pharmacist. And, he's like, nurses have their conference, doctors have their conference, PAs, pharmacists, social workers. Why don't we all get into the same room and sit at the same table? And so that's where his vision for this conference was birthed. It's a huge community. I want to say the first one was in Ghana. I don't know if it was the first one, but they've been to Ghana. This is not the first year that it's in place. And they'll have a series of, during the day, they have like, they did have a name for them. Maybe like smaller kind of lectures. And then there was a keynote. And then in the afternoon, there would be panel discussions. And everyone's there. Nurses, pharmacists, doctors, licensed clinical social workers. A lot of people are represented. I will say, since it was founded by a pharmacist, I would say that was probably the most pharmacists I've ever been around. But everyone was so welcoming, and people come from all around the country. They have a pretty good presence here in the district. And in the evening, they had lots of opportunities for networking. They even spent a night at the park, and last night was a big, so then they recognized 40 under 40. And shout out to Dr. Camila. I know her as Medmila on Instagram, but her real name is Camila. And I remember her last name, but she was there. I couldn't believe it. I saw so many social media people that I'm big fans of and have a lot of respect for. And so she was there. So she was one of the 40 under 40. So last night they recognized them, and they had their big black tie gala. And then today they're actually having their free community health fair, which me and Alicia volunteered at last year, running the blood pressure monitor or the blood pressure table. And then there's a brunch. There was an executive leadership table or like round table discussion. There was a lot of opportunities for leaders and founders, the founders circle, and opportunities for people overseeing organizations and groups and communities to get together and not only identify problems that need to be addressed, but more importantly, solutions and how everyone was going to carry out those solutions. It was fabulous. I met so many people who are from Houston or are moving to Houston. Shout out to Kira Stewart, who's a PA, and she actually does do some cosmetics on the side as well. So it was great to meet her. Let's see. Oh, the highlights there's a lot of highlights, but on Thursday when I was with my, Houston's Central Time. So all the things on my phone were still kind of Central Time. So it kind of threw me off for a loop there. So I ended up getting to the hotel early on Thursday. The host hotel was La Meridian, and right across the street, some of the other lectures happened at the National Public Housing Center. It was really kind of great kind of organization and logistics. Anyway, when I was waiting at the hotel, because I got there an hour early, I saw Craig, what's his last name? Nelson, Michelle Obama's brother. And so, if you don't know, him and Michelle started a podcast not too long ago. And so I've been watching that. So I already knew his face anyway. But he was so kind. He was by himself. And so we probably chatted for about 10 minutes talking about his podcast and my podcast and our community and health in our community. And he wanted to know my favorite episode and just kind of asked him how it was going and kind of that whole batch contenting and the motivation behind it and why he ended up doing it, which, he said it was a really great opportunity for Michelle to be in a place where she could kind of get her thoughts out there and really talk about them. And it sounded like she wasn't going to do it alone. And so he's on there to push her and to support her in doing it. And they're doing a wonderful job. And so it was super exciting. He's actually the vice president of the National Basketball Association of Coaches. So the NBA of coaches, the coaches who work with NBA, he's the VP over that. He said, I still have a real job because his kids actually still have to go to college or they're in college. Either way. And then I finally got to meet Dr. Camila Barnes, who's a doctoral nurse practitioner. I met her through the Black Nurses Association. She came on the show. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before that, to talk about the Black Maternal Virtual Health Conference. And then since then, we've had so many members from the New York chapter come on the show. And I finally got to meet Selena Giles, another doctoral nurse practitioner who I knew through DNPs of Color and her relationship with Dr. Daniel McCamey, the CEO, founder, and president of the DNPs of Color. And so it was great. We had been friends online, and this time we got to meet in person. So shout out to both of them, lovely women. And I really appreciate them spending their time with me and chatting with me and having a little mini think tank session about what it means to be in faculty, what it means to be in community, what it means to be in real life, love life, and things like that. Appreciate that. And Jasmine Cofield, so that was my little buddy there. We recorded her episode for the podcast, but it hasn't come out yet. It probably will come out for PA Week. But she is one of the co-founders of the Physician Assistants of Color, and she just started her telehealth practice. She practices in mental health out there in Flint, Michigan, and we communicate pretty frequently, and so it was really great to spend some time with her and to see all the great work that she's doing, all the respect that she's garnered from her peers, and how much people really look up to her and are inspired by her, and how much she's really motivated people and made a difference in their life. And she's been so kind to lend a lot of that to me as well, and to share her experience being out in a space like that. Let's see. So let's jump back to the SDPA. Sorry, these notes are kind of all over the place. So we did a lot of medical derm, and then Dr. Sally Santos, who is a PA, who has her PhD, and I wanted to talk to her and find out what her research was in, but she is the founder and CEO of American Aesthetics Institute. She did lectures on she did the cosmetics lectures, and she covered, they were great. She covered, you know what, I need to find out if we get the slides. But I love that she went into the history of Botox, I'm a big history buff. I'm pretty sure all the books I have out, I always do a bit of history, including my current one, Nursing Aesthetics, an introductory guide for nurse practitioners and entrepreneurs, which now you can get. So this is my first published book that you can get out in the world outside of the Mahogany Dermatology shop or Etsy. All the books on Etsy are ebooks, but this one you can get the paperback. It's now available on Amazon. Amazon was the slowest. I noticed the bigger the company, the slower they are. So even on the podcast, when it came to putting all the shows like on the different platforms, Apple was last, right? Apple's one of the biggest, Apple and Spotify, and that also took the longest. And same thing with Amazon, getting the book up on Amazon and out there. And even the ebook still isn't available on Amazon. It's just a paper book, but you can get the paperback. You can get the paperback on Amazon. You can get the ebook on Barnes and Noble. You can get the ebook a lot of places, but I'm just sending you to Barnes and Noble because the pricing is consistent. I noticed even though I set a price, and so the way it works, I set a price, what I want it to be, and then I have to give a discount to all the booksellers, right? If you want them to promote your book and put it on their shelf, they want a discount. They're going to buy something in bulk. So I set a discount, but I noticed when I look at some of these other websites, they change the price. And then by change, I mean increased it significantly. So that's why I'm sending you to Barnes and Noble and Amazon, because I don't really have any control over what the other places are doing. But huge for me, if you know my story, after I got my DP degree, you have all this information now, right? I was 6 years older. My relationship was 6 years older. The world was changed. It had been past the pandemic, and I have all this information. I had a blank slate, and I took some time off. I took a sabbatical, and I asked myself, what would I do if I could do anything for free, right? Because you have your reason for why you go in to further your education, but once it's done and you have all this information and different perspective, you have to sit back and reflect and say, do I still want to do the same thing? Do I still feel the same way? So that's what I did. And I said, well, what would I do if I could do anything for free? And it was right. That's where the blog came from, right? And I was like, so actually what happened is like, what am I going to write about? And at first it was nutrition. So I spent the whole summer looking into nutrition and looking at programs and certificates that I could do. That's where I found out my favorite book, Nutrition Made Clear by Roberta. I've talked about her many times. And you can get the audiobook, Roberta Anding, and she's actually out there in Texas too, and she works with a lot of athletes. It's an audiobook, but really every chapter was like a lecture. So I always say it's like a free nutrition course, and she covered everything from micro to macro nutrients and ingredients. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Certainly a resource you can have and read more than once. So I spent the whole summer doing that, and then made my way to dermatology because that had been an interest during the pandemic, and then started looking into that and what the opportunities for training, how much it cost. And when I saw what was out there, what existed in the market, I inspired it for my own business and my own ideas, and that kind of set the trajectory. So then started using the blog as a place to put my thoughts when I was studying, because then you have to put myself in a teaching position. It's helped me retain it the most and then identify gaps and where I need to go study some more. And I thought maybe it might be helpful to some other people. So that's kind of where the blog came from. And it's really a placeholder for something else I'm going to do in the future. So that's what the blog is all about. Let's see. Dun-dun-dun-dun. I wrote all these little notes down, and I don't even know what they mean. Oh, so one of the topics, so we did get some free books. One of the topics, and I'll have to do a separate post on them, was a surgeon, actually. He wrote a book on AI and like smarter AI. Those are checked now, so I don't have them with me. But it was cool to meet him and to get his book. And a couple things I want to know about AI that I'll be getting into more detail soon. I'm going to do an AI workshop before the summer is over, is the difference between AI and generative AI. So AI we've been using for a long time. Your Siri, your Hey Google, your Google Maps, and in healthcare we've been using it for a very long time, both on the clinician side for imaging, assessment, treatment options, evaluation, but even patients. A lot of patients, especially those who have sensory deficits, have been using it to communicate and to kind of be independent, if you will. So it's been around for a long time. Now, what the current, and it's been around since the 1950s, in fact. Now, the current iteration, like your Chat GPTs and your Gemini, and your Perplexity and your Latimer, and all the things that we're talking about now, that's generative AI. So the more you learn and you can kind of just differentiate what you're actually saying, it'd be really helpful. So there was a big, there was another physician who had a lot of concerns about AI. She felt that there was a lot that patients are really confused, and now they're bringing in a lot of information that she has to now dispel. But the truth is that the patients have had the internet for a long time, right? And so it's the same concerns that we had when the internet really became a thing, social media became a thing. We've been dealing with this for a long time, where patients have access to data and they're bringing it to their appointments, and then we have to take time to dispel or correct information. So that's not a new thing, right? So, when you have fears and you have anxieties, you always want to go back and unpack those and then move on from there. So, and the other thing, it's like, even if your patient has those concerns, it's okay, because you just can address those concerns if you're well informed. And then your relationship with the patient is always going to trump whatever they find on the internet. But the thing is, having that relationship, being able to listen and evaluate if they understand what you said. That's why we use teach back, particularly in nursing, and patients, right? And certainly providing culturally sensitive care, evaluating how the patient is receiving the information, being honest about what you do and don't know, and about our time, right? That's like the biggest barrier. So in that one visit, maybe you can't address all those concerns. Maybe they need to make a separate appointment to address those concerns specifically. If you have a staff or a team, that's a great opportunity to delegate, particularly to our students and our aspiring clinicians who want mentorship and shadowing. These are great utilizations for them, instead of them just standing behind idly doing nothing. We learn the most by the doing. So that's what I want to say about AI. And he did some demonstrations during that, because he also created his own customized GPT called Holo. I'll do a whole write-up on it and maybe another follow-up blog specifically to talk about it. So that was cool. And then Dr. Judith, I don't want to get her name wrong. She's all over social media too. If you've seen her, she did the Happiness Lab. That was the name of her lecture. And she gave us a book. Judith Joseph, yeah, she's a psychiatrist. I feel like she's dual certified in something though. And let me make sure I get her. She called her lab the Happiness Lab, but her book is called, let's see, High Functioning. And I think her sister was there with her, because they look a lot alike. And so she had a little bit of a lecture, then she had some demonstrations, and really engaging. And she walked us through some grounding exercises, and it was really good. I had to kind of leave that one a little bit early to head out to the DMV Dermatology NPPA Summer Mixer, which was wonderful. So yeah, let's see. I wrote some notes down for that one. And shout out, I got to meet a lot of people who I've met online, a lot of MPs came to the conference because I promoted it. And so I have mentioned before that when you see something called like SDPA or SDNP or even the DNA, right? The Dermatology Nurses Association. If you just go to the membership page and you look at what the membership options are, you'll be able to see if they're friendly to your profession. Um, in dermatology, you really have to be very careful. Not everything is MPPA friendly, but you just go to the membership site, and if you see that there's if you see your title in PA, then that means you're welcome, right? And so, yes, you can come to the conference, and they were very welcoming. I was the only MP on Hill Day, and so that was really an honor to represent my peers and to also talk to the legislators about if they know the difference, if they know what an MP is. And same with PA. And I think we only encountered one person of each that didn't know. And so that gives us a great opportunity to educate, right? And some of them had NPs as their provider. Some of them had families with autoimmune diseases. So I always find if you can find a connection with whatever you're talking about to the person, that's one way to help them remember and be engaged with what you're saying. And then to get them to say things, just like we do with our patients. Like I got one of the Hill staffers to explain autoimmune to the other staffer because one, it gives me a chance. She said she understands. So that gives me a chance to evaluate if she really understands. But then it's a chance for him to hear it in language that he might remember more than me, right? And it gives them a chance to engage. And it's not always about you and everything you know. You just have to put people together in the right place and let the magic happen from there. And so one of you told me that you've watched them in the videos to prepare for conference and you found it really helpful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I have done videos to help you prepare for conference, and there's articles on the High Dermatology blog. In case you haven't been, or you have social anxiety, or you want to make the most of your time, whether you're just an attendee or you're trying to network for mentors, preceptors, shadowing, or as an entrepreneur. Let me just check my boarding time real quick. My mom's actually here with me. She's coming back to Houston. Okay, I think we got 10 minutes left. So yeah, wonderful time going to the our mixer. Thank you to everyone who came out. It's always challenging, especially during the weekday, to drive through the traffic. So I thank you over and over again. Special shout out to Derek. He's our PA. He's our PA advisor out in Richmond. He was a big help with me on getting this one together. And to Dr. Tim Reed, who is the founder of We Rock Cancer. He found me in the blog a couple months ago, shared his story, told me how I could, what he was looking for. And so then I connected him with some people who I thought could support his initiative. And we wanted to meet in person. And so I told him I'd be here. And then I connected him with SDPA so that they could help him with what he was looking for, which were PAs. And so he came out to the dinner, was able to share with the group his own personal history and story of having melanoma and how that inspired him to start We Rock Cancer, which is a nonprofit, and they do public screenings, right? Just so that people can see if they have any sort of lesions that are concerning, and then they'll get referred to a dermatology provider. But all the events, all the screenings take place at public events that people are already attending. So think your music festivals, sports races. I just think it's a brilliant idea. And I love these stories to tell you guys because you always are talking to me about what you don't have. The education you don't have, the experience you don't have, the job you don't have. And so you're not, it's fixated on what you don't have. And while you can continue to take steps forward to obtain those things, what you have right now is sufficient. Someone like Tim, he's not a medical professional, but he had his own personal experience. He identified a need that he thought could help people, and he put resources together. Now he's helping people, and he gets volunteers, medical professionals that are volunteers, and they help people all together. They're all helping people. Would love to see nursing doing more of this. And so he was able to talk to some of our MP students that were there, and they're going to stay in touch and get connected with their schools of nursing. And I just appreciate everyone's engagement and welcoming of him, and how much you appreciated having him, and how you learned so much from him. Yeah. And same thing with Emily Chow, who I've told you about, the founder of the Sun podcast. She is I was looking for my water. She's now she's an 11th grader in high school who, again, saw there was a problem. Her peers didn't know about the dangers of sunscreen and being unprotected. She found a solution, starting a podcast and getting the word out. 7-8 minute podcast, and now she's helping solve a problem: lack of awareness, lack of education. I said she's in high school. That means she doesn't even have a diploma, right? She's not waiting to get a degree. She's not waiting to get a certification or a licensure or 2 or 5 years of experience. She's just doing what she can do right now, right? And in 10 years from now, when she's actually, whatever she decides to do, she'll already have 10 years under her belt, just like that, because she decided to take the first step. which leads me to my next little point, the 10,000 steps to mastery. Shout out to Dr. Karen Lau, a dermatologist out there in Arizona, who had the pleasure of being at the Diversity in Dermatology Conference. He's been all over the speakers circuit, and so no surprise that he was here in DC too. Wonderful conversation, wonderful lectures. I thanked him in particular for taking the time out to talk about the difference between African American and Black. African American only includes people who identify as being of African American descent, which is very limited. We have people of African descent all over the world. And so it's more inclusive to say Black, because when you don't say that, you leave out all that rich cultural experience from people from the Caribbean, Europe, Asia, all over the country. People have that cultural difference is actually plays a huge role, not only in their lived experience, but how they encounter the system, what their thoughts are when it comes to wellness and disease, and your recommendations, whether they're going to take them or not, or how they're going to trust you, how candid and transparent they're going to be, if they feel like they are going to be the decision maker, or if they're going to have to go back home and talk to someone of authority before anything can happen. All of those things come down to culture, and it's really important not to ignore that culture. And if you don't know, just ask. People love to share. You can ask your patients, you can ask your colleagues, and so I want to thank him for taking the time out to explain that difference. And he also did two things that I thought were wonderful. Um, if you're watching, let me know. It was that one. It had something else to do with representation and inclusivity, but when it comes back to me, I'll let you know another time. Let's see. So, mentorship, right? So, one thing I encourage everybody to do, and they did a fabulous job of talking to each other. Everyone was talking to each other, exchanging numbers, and staying in touch. If you're a medical professional and you're a student, you have a family and a full-time life, and you're building a business on the side, you have very limited time. You're always going to have limited time. You're going to have limited time. That's part of the lifestyle. But you have to stay in connection with one another. You have to continue to network. It's not going to be every day. It might not even be every month, but just enough to help each other remember one another, check in with each other. We have to create those spaces for one another. When our colleagues go on PTO or maternity leave or go grieve a parent, we have to give them space and give them permission to do those things. You don't have to check back in. You don't have to look at your email. You don't have to worry about this patient. I'll go do it for you. We have to do that for each other. And yeah, just checking with each other outside of work. We can ask how work is going, but also how are you doing? How's your health? How's your mental health? How's your family? How can I support you? Who can I connect you with? We have to do that for one another. Not everyone understands our life and accepts our peers. And so even when you're a student, this is a great opportunity to start to develop those habits and those relationships, because it's a small world. You never know how that relationship can benefit one another. So we spent a lot of time doing that. And let's see. And we'll save that one. I think. I think that's really going to cover it. So I did meet some of the other, so at Black Health Connect, I got to see Nurse Queen, or McQueen Dickens. So she's actually a midwife in her DNP program. She's here, and she did one on how to start a luxury IV hydration business. Wonderful presentation, from her appearance to the content to the engagement, the handouts, the clarity, the messaging, the confidence, the accuracy. It was phenomenal. Actually, she's coming to Houston. She'll be moving there this year, so that was really nice. And it was nice to meet her and to put in a plug for DMPs of Color, and to encourage her and Jess to come on out and join us, not only as members, but also at the conference. But really wonderful presentation. Really loved it. Learned a lot. And yeah, I think she did a wonderful job. Huge social media platform and presence. She even spent some time, she got a contract at some kind of yoga event. And so the ladies, on her platform, you can see it. The ladies did some yoga, and then they got their B12 shots. I don't know if she did any infusions, but she did that. And then, I mentioned Sally, but I didn't go into detail. I talked about her lecture on Botox. So she's the founder of American Aesthetics Institute. They offer training. I believe she's in Dallas. What I love about one of the things that they do is the cadaver lab. If you've never had an opportunity to work on a cadaver as a medical or science professional, I highly, highly recommend it. It gives you so much more of an appreciation for the human body and what it means to study science and be a practitioner of medicine and science. And you can be a contributor. So I would love, love, love to donate my body to science. It's another motivating factor to take care of your body, right? And so we will be talking about that on the podcast in the future. But I know she does cadavers, and I know Aubrey Aesthetics does them too, out in Massachusetts. So highly, 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 highly recommend. It just gives you so much more of a greater understanding of what's beneath of the skin and how it all works. It is a bit of an investment, but look at it as an investment that can capitalize on itself. Particularly when you're doing these cosmetic trainings, I recommend don't do them until you're ready to be, if you're not in a position to practice all the time. It's an art. You want to be able to practice on a routine basis, especially if you don't have any background. So when you're thinking about what to invest in, just take that under consideration. There's other ways you can start getting training and education besides doing that one thing if you don't already have a plan in place. Remember, your didactic education is a wonderful place to start. You can crack open a book right now. There's so much to learn, right? So take your time. An hour a day could add up. If you only have, like my accountability partner, she only really has one day a week that she can kind of do some things in big scale time, but she's also adjusted her schedule. Sometimes you have to change what you're doing to get different outcomes. Let's see. So on this point of mentorship, and I think we'll close on this, because I've met so many of you now. There's this trend in nursing to go into cosmetics. Some people are not even in healthcare yet. They're coming to nursing and NP school solely to get into cosmetics or open their own med spa. And there's a lot of reasons why that might be happening. I think social media plays a huge part. I think we're interested in what we're exposed to. And those videos are fun. They're entertaining. And they're a lot different than maybe the life we're experiencing, depending on what we're doing and the setting that we're in. So it's very attractive. But when it comes to dermatology specifically, you have medical, surgical, and cosmetic dermatology. There's a lot to do in medical dermatology, but maybe those videos aren't as sexy, so we don't see them. And so maybe you don't know that that's an opportunity for you. Same thing with surgical. I know people who practice surgical dermatology and absolutely love it. And it's quite lucrative. Again, not something you're going to see a lot of videos on, so maybe you don't know it's an option for you. But it's something and a skill you can be working on, and you can pitch yourself like that when you're going for these jobs, right? And of course, you already know about the cosmetics. But what concerns me the most is that you have people going into an area, an industry, and there's no support, right? There's no professional organization. There's no oversight, regulations, competencies, scopes, and standards, especially when it comes to the nurse practitioner. We're kind of borrowing and pulling from pieces, and it's not really in place, especially when we're talking about business, creating a business that's profitable and scalable. And so people are investing in that Botox training, in these NP degrees and program board certifications, licensures. All that stuff costs money. And then you're going to get your training, you're buying brick and mortars, you're investing in devices without even having a clientele in demand for those devices, right? You should have a wait list of at least 30 to 50 people who want this device before you invest in it. And they're doing all of that, and then within a year or two selling everything and abandoning the industry altogether just because of the lack of support, right? In a variety of ways, through community, mentorship, guidance. And you can see this all over Facebook because people are asking questions anonymously, afraid to share where they're working. And when you do that, you're not really going to get the answers that you need. You can get really general advice. And the way people beat people up in the comments, I'm not surprised they're anonymous. But in our profession, people shouldn't be afraid to ask questions and get guidance and clarity. A lot of times people are coming forward because they've already made some decision, or especially when they're asking for how to correct something or how to approach it. Especially if they've done a mistake, the mistake is already done. We're our worst critic. Beating each other up, it does no good, right? So nursing should be so much more loving than it is. And I just encourage you to do that. And if you don't find you're in a space like that, go find a space where you can get that, or create one yourself. It is possible to have love and support in nursing, even in cosmetics, which I know is very competitive. There's a lot on the line. No matter what you choose to do, you're always going to feel like there's a lot on the line because it is. So yeah, that trend, and even here at the conference, I met people still the same. Everywhere I go, at least once a week, I meet someone who wants to get into cosmetics. But what's concerning is that they can't always tell me the end goal or the vision, the reason, the why, the market analysis, the exit strategy. And so that's one of the reasons I have wrote the white paper, to help you have a better understanding of our education and training, whether you're in or outside of nursing, and why we have that new book, The Nursing Aesthetics, an introductory guide for nurse practitioners, entrepreneurs, so that you have an understanding of what you're getting into and what's going to be expected from you, from the industry, and from your clients. And so one thing you want to, that, we're talking about the business, we're talking about the economy. So if you're starting a business, you need to know the economy, you need to know your market. Some people have admitted that they didn't even start doing market analysis until they've done all those things in nursing school, NP school, board, licensure, buying a brick and mortar, buying product, creating a website. And then they look at the market and they're like, oh, and realize they have some, a hill to climb. Totally don't recommend doing it that way. And so it's a tough economy right now. People are strapped, people are losing their jobs. And, if you've been here long enough, my favorite business model is B2B, right? We all know about the patient care model. You can get advice on that all over the place. But I would love to teach you about some B2B models. So whether you're trying to still get in, if you're in and you're trying to find opportunities to diversify your revenue stream, or maybe you're even like Renee, who's kind of looking at retirement and just trying to make sure that you have solid income that you can count on before you take that step, and capitalize on what you already have, what you already know, and serve the B2B market. Very lucrative, great opportunity to diversify your income stream and make money without seeing more patients. That's what the upcoming masterclass is all about. It's a free masterclass. Right now, I have no description box. I have no thumbnails. Give me some time, maybe even tomorrow, before I update the thumbnail and the description box. That'll have the link in there. But you can go to my Instagram page, and it's in the bio too. But yeah, that's all we got. I gotta go board the plane. Thank you all for watching. It was wonderful meeting everyone. Thank you so much for your time, being so friendly, sharing your dreams. People were so kind, sharing their dreams, and just where they are, and being so honest about what it means to be on this side of our practice, and the fact that we all need help, that we all want to enjoy what we do, to be happy, to be seen, to be heard, to be respected, to be compensated, to have visibility and credibility, and respect for the work that we have done and the work that we are doing, and to be able to show up every day and serve the people that we're here to serve in the way that they deserve to be served and treated. So thank you all for watching. To everyone's taking off today, safe travels. I will see you on the internet somewhere. Bye.